Hey guys, this is Hallie and Casey. Thanks so much for listening to our podcast, Realtor Hacks, Tips, and Tricks. If you didn't already know, Casey and I are both with eXp Realty and both have our own teams. I run Empower Real Estate Group and Casey runs CB Steyer's Realty Group. And we both run an expansion team. So what this means is that we actually cover outside of just what our normal neighborhoods are. So while I work Dallas and San Angelo, I have people on my team right now in Houston, Austin, San Antonio, DFW area.
We can go anywhere in the world.
Yes.
So if you feel like you're going to be on an island by yourself, you're not. Her and I are on separate states, and we have made amazing business partners over the last 4 years.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And we have amazing organizations. We offer mentorship, leadership. We're here for you with any lead generation or marketing questions you might need. We want to be those people and pour into others like our mentors have poured into us. Yes. So if you feel like you're like-minded with us and want to be a part of something bigger, we're partnered with people like Haas Pratt, Lisa Copeland, Ari Lyondike, Sharon Lecter, Elena Cardone. I mean, you name it. We have the best of the best within our organizations, and really just the top of people are mentoring us. So we want to continue that on and pour into others who want to work with us. And, if you want to do that or are interested, send us a DM. I am Hallie B. McCrory on Instagram, and on Facebook, I am Hallie Beeler McCrory. And Casey, she is CB Steyers on Instagram and Casey Steyers on Facebook. And you can also see her website, cbsteyers.com.
And here's the thing is, if you're successful, we're successful. We want to make you successful. We want to see you grow. And yeah, we say these names, these big names, but we're also going to personally handhold. And we have years and years of experience to this. We've built a successful podcast based on our knowledge and our tricks and tips. And we want to make it as easy for you as possible. And all of us grow together and just have fun while we're doing it. The more, the merrier.
We love it. So send us a DM and let's get started today.
Have a good night.
Guys.
Bye.
Here we are again, another episode of Realtor Hacks, Tips, and Tricks. I am one of your hosts, Hallie Beeler McCrory, two-time icon agent with eXp Realty, also coach for Tarek El Moussa's downline with eXp. And we actually, all three guests on here, we are all hosts for, the American Dream, which is an Emmy-nominated TV show all about real estate and lifestyle across different cities in the United States. And I am a host for the Dallas location. So enough about me. We've got our co-host Casey Steyers on, based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. She is the downtown guru, but she also works the coast.
I do the coast too.
Wilmington, Carolina Beach, coast to coast, truly. So, and then we're super excited to have one of our really good friends on, one of our most avid listeners, and just downright a good friend and supporter, Lisa Reyes. Thank you for coming on. We're so excited to have you. She's going to be talking today all about her stick-to-itivity. How do you say this?
Stick-to-itivity.
Stick-to-itivity. Yes.
Stick-to-itivity. I like it. I can say that word.
I know. And she's the latest host for American Dream in Mesa, Arizona, where she lives. So super excited about that. Her first episode is coming up here soon. When are you recording?
I'll be recording in the next 2 weeks. Awesome. We haven't set that date yet, but I'm so excited because our growth here in Mesa is amazing.
Yeah.
And part of why I love the stick-to-itivity idea is because we're native Californians and we're here in Mesa, Arizona now. And there was a lot of changes and a lot of things that have happened through the years. And my husband and I have been married and don't quote me on this because I always keep forgetting how many years, because I base it off of our first date. And but we were married 3 years later. So anyway, it's going on 37 years total.
Yes. Wow.
So,
That's
so
amazing though. That's a feat.
yeah, so we've been through so much.
Mhm.
And the one thing that I have to say is that stick to activity, positivity, and always finding an out and a solution to everything, I believe is what's kept us together. Plus we like joke a lot with each other. Like
Yes.
it's yeah. So we
Love
have
it.
always, yeah. And I remember one time a long time ago when my girls were just babies. My youngest who is the mother of my grandchildren that we live with, was still in pull-ups. And we lived in a really cute little townhouse. But there was a lot of partiers there and whatever. And anyway, the landlord didn't like us because there was things that were happening that weren't my favorite thing. Drugs and alcohol were
Yeah.
never.
Yeah.
So I said something to her one day, and then the next day we got an eviction notice. And it was really hard because they were just babies and we had all of our stuff there and I loved this place. And we were like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And so my father-in-law had a place not, nearby, and he was like, of course you're going to come and stay with us. You stay with me. Oh my gosh, bring the kids. We will get through this together. And it was just so right.
Yeah.
And then we pack everything up. We put everything in storage, put the kids in the car, and it was raining cats and dogs. This was in San Francisco Bay Area, right?
Mhm.
So my husband and I get off work, we pack the kids in the car. We're there. He didn't have a key to his dad's house anymore because he'd been moved out for whatever. It was just raining, like sometimes it rains so hard that like, oh, this is a shower. Where's my soap, right?
Yeah.
And the kids are in the back seat, half falling asleep, and he gets to a phone booth. This is how long ago this was. There were cell phones, but very, very, very few people had them, and they were like and he gets to the phone booth. He calls his dad at his friend's house. He's like, Dad, we can't get through the gate, and we can't get us into the house. The kids need to get to bed. He was like, oh yes, son, I'll be there right away. And he hangs up, and my husband gets in the car, dripping. I mean, like that was coming over to my side of the seat. It was like, oh my gosh, it's so rainy out there. Oh my gosh, is he there? Is he going to meet us at the house? What's going on? And he says, yeah, he's going to meet us at the house. And he was just fit to be tied. He was so angry, right?
Right.
And I looked at him and I burst into hysterics. And I just started laughing. And then the girls started laughing, right? And they were all, Daddy's wet, and they thought it was so funny. And he looked at me and goes, what is so funny? And I said, you know what? We just had the best blessing of our lives. They kicked us out. They evicted us for no reason because we don't agree with their lifestyle, which is fine. I never will agree with that lifestyle.
Right.
But we have a place to stay, which is safe and wonderful. And we have both of our paychecks. We have no rent to pay. Your dad is going to let us stay in his house. Of course, we would help him with stuff. I said, we've got our paychecks. You want to drive over into San Francisco and we spend the first night at the Fairmont and get room service? How does that sound? And he burst into hysterics too, because it was like the rain and the no home. And we had the two girls and, technically, I mean, we were homeless. Let's face it. That's the word for it, right? And when we looked at each other and we laughed on that day in March, I will never forget thinking there's always a better solution. It's great when that door closes. It's great. It's great when the window shuts and the door closes and you're confined and you feel like you're claustrophobic because you're at your best. And it's the best time to be at your best because it's something that you'll always go back to. It's something that you can always rely on as a source for maintaining positivity. And the other thing too, that I know that you have to remain positive too, is for your mental health and your heart health.
Yep.
Because many people they lose everything because of not knowing how to find that positivity, and it
Yeah.
gets all bottled up inside, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So that was where my positivity really, truly, and I've always been a positive person. I've had,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's funny. So
Aw.
I'm number 5 with 7 total kids in my family,
Uh-huh.
and I'm the sole survivor. So
Oh, that's right. You told me this. Yes.
yeah. So because I never embraced that. I lost them to the streets and drugs and alcohol, all of them.
Right.
So because, and that's how it was back then, though, and I'm not judging anybody.
No, I
But-
literally just watched that Iron Claw movie where all of his siblings, like the Zac Efron played Kevin Von Erich, I think, and they had he had 4 brothers, and all of them passed away from like drug usage and caused other various health or mental health.
Oh, I have to watch that. What was it called?
Iron Claw. It's like in the 80s and 90s, all about the Von Erich family. They were all wrestlers, so they were doing party drugs, but then also steroids and stuff, and it just
yeah. Oh yeah, steroids.
It shows how much more prevalent it was then. Not that drugs and alcohol are prevalent now, but just it's just different. It seemed like.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think too that the drugs are different. Like I remember back in the 80s walking into the, oh my gosh, I can't think of it, in New York, the China, Blue China. It was called, I think it was called Blue China. Anyway, whatever. Okay. It was this really nice and Duran Duran was there.
Yes.
And really cool. And they were sitting at the table over there and everything, and going into the ladies' room, and there was just Coke on mirrors all over nobody cared. And, it just was there. But it's funny because that lifestyle is very, very full of negativity, because that type of activity creates paranoia. And I remember my one sister, she would get so paranoid sometimes, and it was really sad because she was beautiful. She was so pretty that it was she and I together the night I met my husband.
Yeah.
She people took advantage of that too, because she was very, very nice, and she was very, very pretty. She could get into any room and anywhere. But I remember thinking too, when kind of all of her, when she got really bad into it and everything. And I remember thinking the best thing that I can do for her, and the way that I can help her the most, is to be an example of who I really am, and just be happy and be distanced from those types of activities, and always, find the good in what she's doing, even though I didn't agree with it. Well, at least you moved here and you're not near there. And, and always just trying to lift her up too, because remember the saying, it's always best to be the one who smiled than the one who didn't smile back. And it's so true, because once you smile and you walk away, whether they've smiled or they haven't smiled, they'll remember you. Because it's one of those things to recognize people and to acknowledge people, and not because they're wearing Louis Vuittons or carrying a Gucci bag or have a Rolex watch on, or, those types of things. And those things, and let's face it, we love it all. Yes. We do.
I hate to say it, but yeah. But I think you can still have those things and be on the path that you're talking about too. So
exactly. And so I think that that just always taking into consideration that people need that smile and people need that positivity, and also to remember that it's free, it's given freely, and it's one of those things that can just mean millions to somebody else, although you give it freely. And I've always and I remember too, this was another funny thing from when my girls were growing up and they were little and they'd be in bed and it's school day. I don't want to get out of bed and I just I think I have a cold, and going through all that. And I'm standing over their beds and I say, guess what, you guys, let's think about this for a sec. You have two choices. You can choose to be happy and positive and get out of bed and you can have your favorite cereal for breakfast, or you can be miserable and have a bad day all day. What choice are you going to make? And they would always laugh and they'd say, Mom, you say that every day. And I go, you're darn right I will. And I'll say it every day until I can't say it anymore.
Yeah.
It was just, it was just one of those things that you just have to, you just have to. Yeah. And then conversely, you also have to accept a feeling badly and you have to work through that too. Yeah. And always remember that light on the other side. And when somebody upsets you and you're angry, you have to accept that and embrace that. And that's part 2 of the positivity, I think. Yeah. I really, really believe this because everything isn't, and there's no such thing as balance. And if anybody's going to tell you that there's balance, then they're cuckoo balls and they have nothing going on in their life. Yeah. Because there's nothing always balanced.
Right.
And I think that, and I know because I've lived it through so many episodes that, that whole feeling of knowing that it's okay to be angry. And when people do things that upset you, live through it, talk through it and get through it. Because on the other side, just like those doors closing and those windows closing and being confined, there's going to be a positive outcome there because there always is. I think if each of us look back on like our worst day or what we thought was our worst day, something good always came out of it and you always bounced back.
Even through the worst of the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Gosh. And I'm really working on because I've always, I don't know, like growing up, my dad was very much like, I don't know, he always listened to like motivational tapes and, we'd be in the car listening to them and just like sports, like positivity was pushed very hard in my household, which was good. But I feel like I kind of took it too far and would not let myself feel like, or distract myself from feeling emotions and really push those aside. So that's something I'm working on now, like with a life coach and therapy and stuff, and learning to like let yourself have those feelings and have those emotions, but then, then come back to the positivity. But, it's still good to like get them out so that they're not like these emotions are trapped in your body per se, or like, you see it on like every TV show, like someone tries to bottle it up and then they explode and, just. So I don't. Yeah. I'm working on that, and it's hard. And sometimes I won't even realize I'm trying to bottle something up, or like that I'm distracting myself with work or whatever, and then it all comes out, and I'm like, holy. Even Friday, I called Casey like overwhelmed, and I'm like, I just had like a little day where I just like, I feel like I just released a bunch of emotions, and it was hard, but I just, I took care of myself this weekend and got a lot of rest and. I don't know. I feel like I woke up a lot better today for the week. I don't know. So
you're starting the week fresh and new, and yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense, but
it makes total sense. And I think that because, like, you ever see like the snapshot of a person in Instagram or Facebook, or and it's all a lot of times it's always like. Everybody at their best, and their hair's great and like that. Like at first when I started doing some of my posts for my barre classes, like I have no makeup on. My hair's up, I'm sweating, and I thought, this is okay because it is part of who I am and it's okay. Right. And if people don't want to look at it, guess what? That's what scrolling's all about.
Yes. And also I'm not going to barre with a full face of makeup on. I'm just not.
Right. Because my mascara, well, now I bought some, and then I'll be like, I'll look like something out of a Rob Zombie movie. Yeah. But the other thing too that that I think that when you work through, like when you worked through Friday, Hallie,
Yeah.
didn't you feel like it because of going through that, it made you feel better? Because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, what a great load off. I'm just, yay. And thank you, Casey, for listening to me and whomever else, and little doggies, and, you know, and all, and your husband, and all of those little facets of life. And then you just move on, and it's good to work through it because it's such a sigh of relief. And I think that it's a positive in and of itself. And I'm sure that there's a million people out there who will disagree with me, and that's fine, and that's totally fine. But I really think that when we do that, we make ourselves far more mature, number one. I think number two, that somehow our hormones have a lot to do with that balance of, well, I was really angry and now I'm not angry anymore. And it like, you work yourself into a more calm person, because the next time you get that upset, you've worked through it enough times that you know, oh, I'm going to work through this. So listen to this. This is what happened, and then get through it. So I think that it's really great. And I think that therapy, and I think having people to work through things with, is the ultimate, and it's paramount to the success in everything we do.
Yeah. Well, and even just having our group of girls and stuff that we, you know, in our organization, this is not me tooting EXP, I promise, but we truly have such a good organization within EXP, and just like a little group that we have, you know, I don't know. I just cherish that, because I can go to you guys when I'm frustrated about something, instead of, like, I'll try to go to Colin about stuff. And of course I go to my husband to vent about stuff and whatnot, but he just doesn't always get it.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same. So it's nice.
I was like, I don't understand.
You're like, oh, this just happened, and like being able to vent about it right then and there, and then you guys are like, no, but you know, this is the positivity on it. Then you can like really move on, like, because we all go through it. That's just a part of real estate. It really is. Like, you know, somebody was supposed to list with you, and then they list with their aunt or uncle, or, you know, like, or appraisal came back in low, and the appraiser is being a jerk about, like, we get these things every freaking day, right?
And it's easy to get into your feels when those things happen. You think, oh, I'm the only person this is happening to. All these other people are. No, if you just have a conversation with somebody, it's going to make you feel better, because they're going to tell you a very similar.
Yes, everybody's going through it.
You realize, well, it's not just me. It's get out my own way.
I love that we have that, you know.
And it's so true what you say, Casey, because, you know, like somebody was saying on maybe it was Hallie, maybe it was you on one of your past podcasts, and you were saying, oh, you know, they put on these real estate shows, and then they make it seem like all of a sudden these people come in, and then they say, oh yeah, well, look at these 3 houses. Oh, we're going to take house number 1, and like, poof, it's done. Never in the history of the world has it ever happened. And that's the fortunate thing. It's good entertainment. It is good entertainment. And who doesn't love looking at houses? Everybody loves it.
Yeah.
But to make it look like that is almost unfair, because then the rest of us who are actually working the real estate world.
It makes us think our job's easy, and that's where people come from. And they come at us like, oh, you're making thousands and thousands of dollars. But they're missing the bits and pieces of 7 a.m. attorneys sending me messages for a closing tomorrow because they need parking spot deeds. So we've spent like all day trying to figure out how to get those. You know, that's the part people miss. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and it's funny too. So again, you know, you think about it. And especially in a real estate transaction, it's interesting how it can seem as though everything's happening seamlessly, and our clients do see it seamlessly. But you have to go back to that.
Our job.
Yeah. I mean, you have to go back to that stick-to-itivity and that positivity, because what they're dealing with on their side is the hard part too. That's the hard part. Moving out of your home, whether you're selling or buying, either way, you're moving from your home and you're moving into a home. And that's I believe as realtors, that is our number one job, is keeping all, like Ryan Serhant says, keeping all those balls in the air with a big smile on your face, because that too helps people to understand that it's okay. We're getting through this. Yep, it's a pain in the neck. Yep, there's a lot of paperwork. Yep, that seller said this. Yep, that buyer said that. Yep, that whatever it is. And just to keep it going. And there's a total art to that. And that's why great realtors maintain, greatness in their marketplace.
Yes.
Because that's how you have to keep those balls in the air and that smile on your face the whole time.
Yes. Oh, I love it. And you do such a good job of that. Truly.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So where do you think do you think that you got this just like from situational, like through the years, or like?
Yes. It was hard being 5 of 7. Because everybody was, there was always, needless to say, always stuff going on. And there was always somebody with something. And so, and my mom, I don't know if we ever talked about this. So my mom was an opera singer. She sang for San Francisco Opera.
Oh my God, how cool.
Yeah, it was really fun, except when we were at church on Sunday and then she would sing and everybody would be like, and we'd be like, because she would belt those hymns out.
Yes.
And my father he worked for the National Archives, and he had a very high stress job. And he got appointed as the director of records disposition for the National Archives in Washington, D.C. when we were little kids. I was just in 5th grade and we moved to Washington, D.C., suburbs of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And my older brothers and sisters, like it was the 60s at the time when I really realized that staying positive, because there was a lot of not good things happening. There was a lot of race riots in the city and a lot of people saying not nice things to my friends and a lot of things like that. And I just remember thinking, that's not very nice. And like not even thinking about the golden rule or anything like that. But I remember thinking, I just would never talk to somebody like that, or I would never say something like that. And look at the look on their face. You can tell that really upset them. And why would you want to be upset? There's so many fun things to do. We live on this great hill. You can roller skate down the hill really fast, like a little kid's mind, right? And so, I look back on things and I think, I kind of always have been like that. And then you kind of get used to yourself through the years, right? And so you never really think about it. But that first story I told you about, that right there, really, really, that's when that forever to this day positive light bulb went off on my head, and where I realized that, nope, it's okay. Everything will work out just fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and it's like you said, it's a choice. Like life is fair for no one, even if you know it or not, whether you see it or not on social media or whatever it might be. And it's like you have a choice on whether you're going to feel good or feel bad.
Yep.
Which do you want to choose?
Yep. 100%. And I agree with you. It's our closeness that we have with our EXP group is something that cannot be put into words. And I think that to experience it is something that I hope that everybody has within their work sphere and within their family sphere. that they can always have something or someone to rely on, because nobody can do it alone. And it helps to get through those hard times so that you can see the light at the end of the tunnel on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And I guess like, I don't know. I'm just like trying to think of like hacks, tips, and tricks around that. It's really just that, right? Like having your support group, you know,
mindset. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And looking in front of a mirror and standing in front of a mirror and looking at yourself and smiling, and just smile and say, you know what, you did a great job. And then thinking of, and when you see somebody else's face and you're out and about and you're working with clients or you're with your family or whomever it is, you know, the person at the grocery store, you know, at checkout or whatever, and you can just see, you know, that like maybe they're not having a good day, and think of that positivity, and stick-to-itivity with positivity is the best thing ever. And that you may save somebody from having a horrible day. And I think that that's just one of the things that just carries me through and gets me through. So,
yep, 100%. Yeah, because I'm sure, you know, we've all had people that have helped us through ours too. So,
yeah,
paying it forward. Yeah, and I think like with stick-to-itivity, did I say that right?
yes.
I can't. I'm like, okay. I think a lot of people take that as like, okay, I'm doing this thing and I'm sticking to it no matter what, but they get in a rut with something and don't realize like, okay, just with stick-to-itivity can be sticking with something, but that doesn't mean if it's not working that you don't go in and change what needs to be changed either. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I think people can make it very, speaking of black and white, people can be very black and white about it, but it can also be very gray where it, you know, like you tweak certain things to make it better or, you know, more nuanced for the situation. So.
Yeah. And I think that, and to your point, I think that there's always going to be a time when things don't work out, and it's okay that they don't work out, because it was part of that learning curve, and it was part of that getting to where you really need to be.
Yeah.
You know, it is. And I think too that, you know, always remember that it's very skewed when you see people online, and social media is a great thing. It really, really is. When your whole life doesn't revolve around, oh my gosh, now I have to wear those shoes. Oh my gosh, now I have to look like this. Now I'm ding, ding, ding. And what is everybody doing? You know what? I have to admit this. Do you know that it wasn't until just this month that I realized that when it says to follow people, embarrassing, but I'm going to say it, international podcast here, that I didn't realize that you were supposed to like get on somebody's like page and like follow them and like and literally follow them. I'm like, oh, like really follow, because I was never really good at following people.
Yes, that's so funny.
But I
You're
get
like,
it.
oh, this is how it works.
Because, and I cared what people did and said, and you know, and the people that I know and love, and you know, even people that I don't agree with or whatever, you know, to see them, but I didn't realize, and it's okay, but that's okay, you know, there you go.
Download button.
So, but it's all comes back to the way that you react and the way that you keep what you've learned as a positive, because everything that we learn is positive.
Yes.
Even, you know, when you're a little kid and you munch and you do a face dive into the cement off your roller skates, you know, something like that. That's a good lesson learned, you know, to avoid rocks or whatever it is, the cracks in the cement, don't go or whatever it is, it turns into something good. And I just want for people to realize that it is always it is going to work.
What you take away from it. I had a friend the other day at a meeting I had on Thursday, and I asked him, I was like, do you regret? I was asking about certain businesses, something he'd done. I was like, do you regret doing that? And he's like, I don't have any regrets. I just have things that I take from it and I do better going forward. So
Yeah.
it's like, so no regrets.
I love it.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so healthy.
Truly. So what other like hacks, tips, or tricks do you have for our agents listening in around this subject?
So the other thing too, that's very like one of the buzzwords and one of the like things that everybody, talks about is meditation. But in the old days, meditation, of course, was always used, but it also was, praying and being, praying.
Yeah, that's definitely a form of meditation, at least in my book.
Right. And it's not that it has to be a part of a religious thing, and it isn't that it doesn't have to be a part of a religious thing, but it does need to be a part of a mindset of taking you to a place where you are and you're never alone, so you're in another place spiritually, to where you can find solace, where you can find some type of positivity, where you can find answers, because being alone with yourself is a very, very good thing. And being alone in your mind is a very, very healthy thing, because if you can't be alone with yourself, it makes it very, very hard to interact with other people. Very, very hard.
Straight up.
Yeah.
You don't like you. Why is anybody else going to like you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can't talk straight to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
it's that avoidance thing too, of not one, ignoring important cues, but that that kind of help aids in avoidance of the universe or whatever you believe in giving you signs on stuff, your intuition giving you signs on stuff.
Oh,
I don't know where I was thinking, but I'm learning that, because it is so easy to get on your phone and just there's a million and one things we can distract ourselves with, and if you're distracting yourself from something, there's a reason for that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer that those things kind of end up manifesting physically too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they totally do. And and the other thing too, it was an interesting article that I read, and when people started to get away from the earth and they started wearing shoes, and then they started putting foundations in their home, and then they started putting carpets and wood on top of their floors, and then they started all these skyscrapers, the further away from the earth that they got, the more diseases were introduced. And you'd think it would be the opposite, because as people were like, oh, the dirt, and oh my gosh, the dogs poop there, and oh, that's where they won, this, that, and the other, and oh, and like that. But it's like little kids going to school. They're around all the other little kids, and they get the diseases or the colds or the whatever it is that they get.
Yeah,
and it helps to build up their immunity. Why women nurse their babies, because it helps them to build up their immunities. Mm-hmm. And I think that just I'm not saying walk where the dogs go poop, so don't get me wrong, people. I'm not saying that is not a good idea, but I think taking off your shoes and standing on grass is probably one of the most freeing, positive things that your body can feel. A lot
of people I follow talk about that grounding.
Yeah, grounding.
And also walking. I think I've talked about that on here before. I think you commented, Lisa, on this one. If your first walk out in the morning, when the sun's first coming up, like your first sun, not to wear sunglasses, because that sets your inner clock and makes you sleep better at night.
Yeah, rebalances your circadian rhythm or something. Yeah.
Yes. And I think too that and then there's a window of time in the morning where there's no such thing as bad sun rays. you know, and where you can go out and have full exposure to the sun. And it's from, I believe that it's the first hour that the sun is
It is.
actually in the
Yeah,
sky,
like
right?
7 to 8 or something, or
Yeah.
or whatever time zone you're in.
Yeah, that time frame. And it's on and you can Google it. It's on all of the things. And those types of things, now those are like invaluable hacks,
Mhm.
because to know that this is put there for you to enjoy, no matter who you believe created what we have, or it happened to be the way that it is. The fact of the matter is that that's what the sun does for us. That's our gift from the sun.
Yes.
And the earth, as far as our gift to feel a part of something greater and bigger than ourselves, the grounding, and being able to be out in the air and to enjoy. And even if it's freezing cold outside, or if it's the hottest day, being able to enjoy the atmosphere and that we're in is one of the things that makes people just feel. And even if you don't enjoy the hot heat, because I'm here, and you know, I mean, we wake up and it's already 80 degrees at this time of the year.
Yeah.
And so if you don't like that, and obviously a lot of people don't live here because they don't like that, but wherever
Right.
you are, remember that this is something that you have given to you, that is there for you to enjoy and to put that smile on your face.
Yeah.
Because that's really, really what it's all about. And the breath, that's the other thing. I think you guys talked about this on one of your other shows, and the breathing.
Mhm.
What is his name?
Wim Hof?
What's Elena Cardone's?
Gary Brecka.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
Gary.
did a podcast a while back.
Yes, I did talk about that, and how
talked,
he does the breathing in the morning. Mhm.
Yep. And he said the one thing that every person who dies has in common is that they lose their breath. The way that they died is one thing, but to lose your breath means that you're dead.
Right.
So, and not to be like whatever heavy on it and ever, but it's a fact. And you know, whatever it is what it is. But the breathing is one of the most important things. And my mom, being an opera singer, she was huge on this. Sit up straight, breathe from your diaphragm. You have to do belly breath, and breathe from your diaphragm. And when you exhale and do the and and it was like, our version of a drill sergeant with the breathing and sitting up straight. And but I think that Gary Brecka spoke of it. Wim Hof, he has he's studied this, I think, all his life. And also Troy Casey. Troy Casey does on his podcasts, he regularly does breathing and the vagus nerve and do the side breathing. And it's amazing, seriously amazing, when you just take that time away from everything and put your cell phone somewhere else. They can miss you for a half an hour, and really take that time. That makes you feel so good. And then it's so much easier to dive into everything that you have to dive into. And that's another one of the hacks, I think, too, is the breathing.
Yes.
Focusing on it.
I love that. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Any good book? Well, I guess we've got the podcast. So Gary Brecka's podcast, Certified Health Nut. Troy, what is his last name? Troy Casey. That's right.
He's
how did I forget that?
I know, I was like, that's easy.
So
what's your favorite book, Lisa?
I'm sorry, what?
Your favorite book?
My favorite book is Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. Only, I say that right now because it's breakfast time, but also my other favorite book is Fox and Socks, Dr. Seuss. And I'll tell you why. Because there's so many like odd little people enjoying their oddness in everything of Dr. Seuss, and his themes and his his message is always something positive.
It is, yeah.
Remember at the end of Green Eggs and Ham?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Sam I Am? And he said, just try it. And he liked it. And it was like, and he was so angry the whole time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So angry.
I don't
will
like
not eat-
green eggs and ham.
It always takes me back to when I was teaching and we did green eggs and ham day. And my students, and I always had the saying, if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it. But if you've never tried it, you really cannot have a voice on it. And just because you don't like it does not mean everybody else in the world doesn't like it. This is what makes the world go around. So let's keep that opinion to yourself.
I love it. And it's so true. And it's super, super true. And then the other one, the Fox and Socks, there's just, again, just so many things that the one character disagrees with the other character. And then in the end, you know, everything's fine because he tells him, he says, I'm going my way, you go your way. And it's over.
Yes.
It's like, look, you remove yourself from the situation and you never go back again. And there you go. There's your positivity.
Exactly.
Those were good. Those were good answers. I liked that you did those.
Thank you. And they are, you know, one of my other past lives was I was in title and escrow for 20 some years.
Yeah.
And somebody on here for that. So
yeah. And so I used to keep green eggs and ham in my desk. And, you know, and there was always the people who, you know, and, you know, to be pitied more than censored, as they say. Why would you have something like that? And you should put that over there where all the kids stuff goes and like that. And I was like, oh, that's an idea. You know, what do you say?
That's an idea.
So there would be days, because closing an escrow, from the escrow standpoint, we think we have it bad. I'm just saying. And you guys know, because you work with your escrow officers too. But there would be days where I would just like stand up, take a breath, take out that book and look at those crazy little guys, and it would put a smile on my face. And I would think, you know, life is good. It's okay. These people are going to move into their beautiful new home and they can
cook green eggs and ham.
Yeah. And I'd sit back down and I'd type up my emails and we'd get everything done and we'd close that escrow. And next thing you would see is smiling people with keys in their hands. And they'd be like, look, and we did this. And I'm like, yeah, we did. So, yeah.
I love it. That's so sweet. Well, any other last comments or hacks or tips or tricks before we wrap up?
I would like to say that my phone number, the last digit is a 3. But
let me change that.
I just want to put this out here for anybody and everybody who's listening to it. When you need somebody to talk to, just give me a call.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, it's hard enough sometimes just with everything that happens in our lives, and then in our communities, and then in our world, and then in things that we have no control over. I just really, really tip for the day is give me a call, because there's so many things that we can help each other with. And I believe in my heart of hearts that it's more important, the human aspect of everything that we do, and to remember that we have to be human above and beyond anything else. All of our expertise and all of the things that we have come in second to being a human and taking care of each other in everything that we do.
Yep.
I love it. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, and I did correct that. So her number, if you're listening and you're not watching like on YouTube or Facebook, her number is 925-785-5413. And Lisa's based in Mesa, Arizona. What is that, Mountain Time?
Yep. Actually, we're only Arizona time. When it's not daylight savings time, we're Pacific time.
So you're Pacific time now.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
These times.
Lisa Reyes, LISAREYES, real estate on Instagram. She's on Facebook too, Lisa Reyes. So if you guys want to reach out to her or just want to chat with her, she's there. And she really is. She really is.
Solid.
Coming from experience.
Thank you.
Lisa is a great friend and supporter. And
And I want to thank you guys for everything that you do, because the way that you reach out in so many different topics, it helps everybody in all different ways. And it's what you're doing is just a really, really, really huge thing for not just our real estate community, but for other professionals. I know that a lot of the topics that you bring up are good for even like loan officers or even people in the insurance industry. So I just want to thank you guys for everything that you do for the industry and for me. I love following you, and I appreciate you very, very much.
Oh, we love you, Lisa.
Sometimes good to hear. I'm holding Rocky. See,
My heart's going.
there you go. All the hearts. I don't get hearts and balloons and thumbs up.
I don't know why.
I don't know why I do.
I'm blowing up to y'all.
Aw.
Well, thank you again, Lisa,
Thank
for
you,
coming
Lisa.
on.
Thank
Guys, and don't forget to subscribe, whether it's, oh gosh, the mailman's here. Dog's about to bark. Okay.
Yes, subscribe on Spotify or Apple. Don't forget to hit the bell so you know when our next episode's coming.
Yep. YouTube too.
Leave us a review, good, bad, happy, sad, ugly. We like feedback. We can't get better if you don't feed it to us. Lisa, thank you for that feedback. That means a lot to us, actually.
Yes.
And if you have questions, don't forget to send them to us so we can answer them on the next week.
Yes.
So, thank you guys. Have a fabulous week and happy Monday.
Yes, and we will start seeing you guys every other Monday now.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Everyone have a good week.
Bye.